Hello. Hello, good morning po sa lahat.
Morning po.
Yes,
Morning, ma'am.
I can be heard. Sige, salamat. We are expecting at least 100 ano po participants. So, is it okay? We'll just tawag dito extend a little and ask for um para ma-admit yung iba pong mga participants. Let's give them another 5 minutes po. Thank you.
Pinakamababa na 700, no? O sa 700, una setting nila yun, halin. Kanang lobe, mas kayo rin doon sa bayay. Kaya sandawon. Pero kanang nalong sa mga bayay, ikaw lang bumalik. Saya gatos. Gano'n ang kailan doon pa sa nakabay yung na inanagataan ko yan.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. I believe we have 61 participants, so we'll just be adding them up as we go along for today. So yun, kasi I'm using yung desktop dito sa opisina. So uh, yun. So but to introduce, my name is Janice Palaganas. I am from the Aeronautical Information Service. Instruction of our TWG chairman. Sorry, can I be heard clearly? Or for
Loud and clear po. Loud and clear.
loud and clear. Okay. Thank you. So yun. I'll be adding as we go along na po. So as per the advice of our chair, the technical working group for the GRF implementation chairman, Mr. Erwin Hamero, we are conducting this review for the issuance of or the submission of IPAF for the request of SNOWTAM promulgation, and also a review for the common errors that usually the common error for issuance ng SNOWTAM. So yun. But before we start, please permit me, let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this wonderful morning. Thank you for your goodness and your faithfulness in all of our lives. I pray that even as we do this meeting, as we do this review, you will guide us, you'll give us wisdom, you will give us understanding and knowledge, Lord God, even to how to proceed and how to do the task that you have given us, especially with the DGRF implementation for the Philippines. Lord God, maraming salamat sa isa't isa na nandito ngayon. I pray for your grace and your goodness to just overflow in our lives. Thank you. Thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen. So yun. So before we start, would it be possible? Actually, I requested for everybody to note yung format ng kanilang name, to have name nila and then the facility that they're with or the airport that they're with. So is it okay for as an exercise? Warm up tayo in the morning. Please share sa note where you're from, or your greeting in your own dialect, like magandang umaga, to everybody sa ating chat box. How do you say magandang umaga in your own dialect? Buenos dias, Sir Jimmy. Marhay na aga, maayong buntag, kaninyang tanan. Yes, salamat po. Maayong buntag, diba? Maupay na aga. Maayong buntag sa tanang, maayong aga sa tanan. Wow, that's nice to hear. Maayong aga sa tanan, magandang umaga po from SBIA. Maradyaw sa buntag sa iho tanan. Yun. Okay? Maraming salamat po sa participate. Thank you for yun. Salamat. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Again, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Ngayong umaga, today, this morning, as mentioned earlier, we have participants from our different clusters, and we will be discussing the common errors, and also we will have a review on how to fill up the IPA to submit for the request of issuance of SNOWTAM. So to start, let me share to you my slide. Okay. So as I conduct, as I share these slides, or as I proceed with the meeting, please put your if you have questions, please indicate. Yung pwede na po kayo magsulat dun sa ating chat box, or if you would want, you could wait late. Then we will answer that later on. Pero let me finish first dun sa aking i-represent. Then I'll be entertaining the questions. And we have AIS officers to answer your questions and answer your queries. And also we have the team, your cluster leads, here also to clarify. And also I believe nandito din po sila Sir Robin to help us clarify sa pagdating po sa yun sa pag-issue natin ng RCR, or the runway condition report. Okay? Yun. Is my slide na po ba nakikita ko? Procedure for on the request for SNOWTAM. So this is just a review for everybody's oh, sorry. This is just a review for everybody. Sa ating mga data originators, ito po yung gagawin nila when we submit a request for SNOWTAM promulgation. So, as we all know, the origination of SNOWTAM, the designated airport safety officer of the affected airport shall be the data originator of the APAC. So all of you here are considered to be the data originator of the APAC that you're going to submit sa AIS. Note 1, only authorized personnel can submit a request for issuance of SNOWTAM. That's IPAC with the RCAO. So only authorized, only those in the list submitted to us, yung pwede namin entertain, excuse me, sa AIS to issue as NOTAM. And then note 2, IPAF is available at the ats.cap.gov.ph website, or you could request it from our office also, AIS. Number two, the data originator shall be responsible for the origination of the runway condition report, RCR, and shall take all reasonable measures to ensure that the data provided for SNOWTAM promulgation is adequate, accurate, and timely. Wait, meron pa na. We don't have names. So the IPAF, number three, the IPAF shall contain the RCR and shall be supported by the runway condition assessment worksheet or RCAW as an attachment. So always you should submit the IPAF with the RCAW sa AIS. The IPAF, number four, the IPAF item 8, concurrent shall be left empty once the IPAF with RCAW is received by the AIS. The data originator shall also provide the ATS facility a copy of the RCAW for their corresponding dissemination. It is the responsibility of the data originator to submit RCR to all concerned authorities for proper dissemination. With this one, it's not after you submit to AIS, but simultaneous. The data originator shall simultaneously submit it to the ATS facility, or you submit it to AIS in case your RCR concludes that you need to issue a SNOWTAM. Number five, the data originator shall request for SNOWTAM promulgation by accomplishing the IPAF and submitting it to the NOTAM office in this order of priority. You can submit it to us via messenger or walk in, but as we know, this is during this time it's pandemic, so we are not actually using this option, but it's just there in case umokay na po tayo. And then next is email. So you can email your IPAF and your RCAW. You can take a picture of it with your cell phone and then send it to the field.asops@gmail.com, or you could fax it to this number +632-8672-77. Oh, this is 7757. So I'll just correct that. But I believe pagdating dun sa memorandum natin for the issuance, it's already 57. Then you could use also the Viber Instant Messenger application. We have our cell phone number dito sa yun po. Number 6, in cases where fax or internet connection is unavailable, requests can be submitted via CADAS through an ATS facility with available CADAS workstation to the following addresses: RPLLYNYX or RPLLYNYA, and then the CADAS message shall contain the complete RCR and the name and designation of the data originator. So yun po. In cases your number 5 is not available, anything in number 5 is not available, you can opt to send it via CADAS. Yun. As mentioned before, sorry, I need to admit. As mentioned before, the maximum validity of SNOWTAM is 8 hours. And the SNOWTAM self-expires after 8 hours unless it is replaced replaced earlier by a new SNOWTAM. Number 2, when no SNOWTAM is issued after 8 hours of a previous SNOWTAM for an aerodrome, the old SNOWTAM is expired and it is assumed that there is no more significant runway surface condition to be reported. Now, there might be an instance where a NOTAM relating to a SNOWTAM is required. So the origination of a NOTAM relating to SNOWTAM. Number 1, the airport safety officer may recommend the closure of a runway as a result of the conducted runway condition assessment, and shall be requested in a separate IPAF. Now, with this one, the NOTAM the NOTAM request for the process that we'll be following is the normal NOTAM request. Ano po ang gagawin po natin doon. So, unlike yung sa SNOTAM na walang the IPAF can contain no concurrence and no approving authority. This time, we will take it as a normal NOTAM. So, lahat po ng required signatories should be in place po. So, number 2, if the situational awareness section of the RCAW indicates that the runway length is reduced or you need to have new declared distances as a result of a contaminant on the runway which has not been cleared, the airport safety officer shall request in a separate IPAF the NOTAM promulgation of the new available declared distances, the TORA, TODA, ASDA, and LDA. The related IPAF shall be submitted with the following signatories: the concurrence, the ATS facility, the data originator or the airport safety officer or through the ADMS, and then approving authority, airport manager, airport safety supervisor, or higher authority than the data originator. Note, in the absence of the approving authority, the data originator shall place a notation on the IPAF that the request has been approved and properly coordinated with them. Now, as mentioned earlier, the IPAF can be downloaded at this website, ats.kaap.gov.ph. Yan po. And this is your IPAF. Now, in case of issue for the issuance request for the issuance of a SNOTAM, you can when you have this IPAF, you can fill out this form, the name for the originator, the name that's accomplishing this form, the section, your airport, the date, contact number, and then for aeronautical promulgation that it's new, and then the date. For the start of activity, you need to indicate there the time of assessment that or the time that you have conducted your assessment dun sa based din sa RCAW. And then note that this is valid up to 8 hours. Then, for the item 6, you just need to indicate there's NOTAM. Pwede po tong handwritten, pwede rin pong typewritten. Since we understand na time is of the essence pagdating sa SNOTAM, so you can write it na lang legibly, and then you take a picture of your IPAF and then your RCAW, and then you email it to us. So, acceptable po naman yun. Basta klaro lang po, malinaw siya. Then, you transfer your RCR dito sa item 6. And then, you need to indicate there your data originator, then your designation, and then the date. It has to be signed. So, the IPAF needs to be signed by the data originator. Okay. So, this is the sample of your RCAW. Itong RCR, ito po yung ilalagay natin dun sa item 6. Okay? So, I need to stop sharing muna. Now, in ICAO document 9981, PANS Aerodrome Part 2, it is indicated there that when the runway is wholly or partly contaminated by standing water, naka dark out lang yung iba because it does not pertain to us bilang tropical region. Let me read the entire statement. When the runway is wholly or partly contaminated by standing water, snow, slush, ice, or frost, or it is wet associated with the clearing or treatment of snow, slush, ice, or frost, the runway condition report should be disseminated through the AIS and ATS services. When the runway is wet, not associated with the presence of standing water, snow, slush, ice, or frost, the assessed information should be disseminated using the runway condition report through the ATS only or your ATS facilities. Now, let me pause here po. Subic Basin, can we request for the copy of presentation? Yes, we can give it to you, the presentation. Okay, so far, uh, hmm, so what I have discussed to you is the correct format or um, the correct procedure on how to fill up your IPA and send it, how to send it sa AIS, and who are the ones that should be the signatory on that IPA. So ito, the common errors that we have received for the past months. Remember, we are on trial from October 2 until actually it has been extended until November 3. So these are the common errors that we have been receiving. So most of the time, when there is an error, we just take note of it and then we reply to you, right? Sinasabihan namin kayo kung ano pa yung mali, kung ano yung dapat gawin. Now, the following slides we just like we kinuha lang namin yung mga IPAF na sinabit nyo. So, we did not erase the name of the aerodrome or anything. Pero this is just for the purposes of showcasing yung kailangan na i-improve. So, don't, wag nyo na lang pansinin yung mga aerodrome kung sino na ano yung dapat. Yun. So minsan we have received we have received yung minsan na wet CR, but as kanina, we only receive yung standing water, those with standing water, or yung pag meron na kayong previous NOTAM, the dry. So for this one, we did not issue this. I believe for the aerodrome that submitted this, we send you an explanation why we cannot issue this one. Then, not a runway condition. Example po, the RCR stated, ang meron po tayo, ano-ano po yung ating mga runway contaminant or the contaminant type, the standing water and then the dry or the wet. So ito na water lang, we did not issue this, but we explained it why we emailed them back why why we will not be issuing this as a SNOWTAM kasi mali po yung contaminant. And then time of assessment, advance yung time ng assessment. Minsan po nakakatanggap kami na way advance yung or what you call this, yung time from the time ng assessment, like this one, it was assessed like November 29 of 2300, but we received the request 5 p.m. already nung November 29. So to some it could be adequate pa, but I believe I believe you were also replied why hindi namin pwede ma-issue itong SNOWTAM na itong request na ito. Your time of assessment in the RCR does not reflect the time also received. So in the case sa AIS, when you email to us, na-receive naman po agad-agad. So I don't believe that meron tayong lag or lull time during that time na ano. Pero if you think na example that you emailed it to us on like a time 30 minutes before or after you have assessment, and then we receive it like more than 2 hours na of that time of your assessment or the time that you have submitted it to us, please um yun, tell us para din ma-monitor din namin yung mga yung bakit nangyari yon kasi usually we receive it real time, right? So yun, kailangan din namin po malaman yun. Now the depth of water, ito po actually tama po to, if you see this is correct. NR and then NR pero standing water. But the thing for this is the the submitted RCAO is not does not contain any depth of contaminant. That's why we rejected this one. So if itong IPAF lang ang titingnan natin, pwede, we will accept this. But to mention that the RCAO does not coincide with this submitted IPAC. So I believe you were also explained, we emailed you and explained to you why we did not issue the IPAC, the SNOWTAM for this one. Yun. Here, the coverage to be reported in RCR should only be NR 25, 50, 75, or 100. So in this case, kung makikita po natin, you have your 2, then your 5, and then your 2. Pero itong percentage of coverage, 0.9 is not accepted. If it's 0.9, then we could just indicate their NR. Same thing here po. 80 is not accepted. If it's 80, then it has to be converted to 100. Ganun din po dito. 30 is not accepted. It has to be converted to 50. Missing values mean another observation also, missing values in the submitted IPAC. So ito minsan walang value na nilagay dito sa IPAC. Tapos dry. Oh, another thing about dry. There were requests to issue SNOWTAM na dry agad na wala pong previews na na-issue na SNOWTAM. So hindi po tayo nag-issue ng gano'n. So yung dry is an effect of the improvement of your RCR. Hindi siya pwedeng mauna. Hindi siya pwedeng maging yung una yung SNOWTAM. Kung dry kasi parang normal operations lang siya kumbaga. Inconsistency between the IPAF and the RCR. So in this case, ang nakasulat sa RCR is 10.260900. Ang nakasulat naman sa IPAF na sinubmit is 10.270900. Then RCR and coverage not consistent and no RCAO attachment in the attached in the IPAF. So in this case, pag 25% as indicated dun sa RCAO form natin, as pag 25% po ang percentage ng contaminant, it should be dapat magiging 6 na po yung ating runway condition code. It's stated doon. So also this case itong IPAF na to, no RCAO or RCR attached. So dapat po talaga merong RCR ang IPAF attached. So minsan within the RCAO, inconsistent yung data. So here you have your 50 for your runway third, 50%, pero ang nakasulat dito sa RCR is 75%. So inconsistent po siya within the RCAO. Ito din po, taxiway not published in the AIP is and west. Now, understanding that these taxiways are included in your local procedure, and I think it is defined in your in the AIP, it's defined, but in the aerodrome pages for which dapat nandun yung taxiways defined, wala siya doon. So it's not in our SDO also in the database. So this is not hindi siya natanggap sa system. So in this case, we still need to discuss or indicate kung ano ba talaga, kung saan po natin ipapasok yung this example is the name of the taxiway east and taxiway west. Or this I have read this to you earlier. Another thing is this example, the plain language. Hindi po natin ito ang ilalagay sa ating plain language, kundi yung naka-indicate lang dun sa artaw na plain language ang pwede natin ilagay. So dito po yung artaw, as you can see yung artaw natin, and it's stated here why I mentioned kanina na dapat for coverage of 25, you can see there as for coverage of 25% or less, enter code 6. And then with this, you need to identify percentage coverage for if more than 25% of the if more than 25% of the runway third, identify the depth, identify runway condition code, record the most restrictive code in the box to the right, the most restrictive code. Okay. Now, yun po. So that's for the present. That's just some of the errors that we have seen. But we have, like, for example, for the past month that we have tried that we are on test, most of we have like ilang percentage of our aerodromes that participated, and thank you for that you have actively participated sa ating test trial for the issuance of SNOWTAM. At the same time, pero means like yung last week we have 16, we received 16 requests but only one were issued as NOTAM because mali-mali nga. Ganun yung mga errors niya. So yun po. So I hope with this presentation, you're able to see the errors that yung possible errors na pwede nating makumit, at I hope na merong na-clarify din po sa atin kung ano yung dapat po nating gawin pagdating sa request ng issuance ng SNOTAM. So yun po. Now I will open the floor for your questions, and yun po. I also invite to help me answer yung mga questions that will be raised. Our team from the AIS, the cluster, our cluster team leads also is here, and our team also from ATS, the entire team from ATS and AIS. Thank you po. If you have questions, you can raise your hand, and then we'll acknowledge you, and then unmute na lang po natin yung sarili natin. And then you can also indicate sa chat box if you have questions. Okay. First thing, ito may nag-post po sa chat box. Sir Jimmy from Zamboanga, sending it through others. Paano po i-send yung archive? Now, if, as I mentioned earlier, based sa procedure, ang question ni Sir Jimmy is that nawala po ang signal ng internet, sending it through CADAS only. Paano po i-send yung archive? Now, for the if you are going to send it through CADAS, you don't need to include the archive. Hindi na po kailangan kung CADAS siya. The The only thing that you need to do is you need to send the complete RCR, and then the person or the data originator authorized to send it. Dapat nandun din po sa CADAS message. I hope that answered your question, Sir Jimmy. Okay? So yun.
Ma'am, may question po from Dipolog Airport.
Go ahead, sir.
Ma'am, may tanong po ako. When po i-issue yung RCR sa aircraft? During po ba ng first call or yung final approach ng aircraft?
So, for RCR or para sa aircraft, I believe si Sir Robin po ang best to answer that. Calling po si Sir Robin.
Hello. Good morning. Naririnig ba ako malinaw or choppy po?
Yes po, okay po, loud and clear po.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
First
Clear
question po, ang unang question ko po, the RCR in Dipolog, sino po ang nagbabato noon sa flight crew? Yung sa tanong mo po.
ATS po, tower, controller po.
Tower. Okay.
Yes po.
Binabato, yung RCR po ay yung runway condition report. Binabato po siya. Unang-una, obligatory binabato kapag merong contaminant. Hindi man tanungin ng piloto, pag merong more than 4 millimeters, 3 millimeters na standing water, it's obligatory na ibigay po sa piloto. Nakasulat naman po sa ating Manual of Standards for Air Traffic Service na the runway condition report should be ready and on hand for the control towers or the FSS of Dipolog for the situation where flight crew requests for it. Minsan po, hindi naman lagi sinasabi, pero pag hiningi lang anytime. So, ang tanong mo po kung ang RCR ba binibigay, pwede po kahit anong phase of flight. Wag lang sana yung short final na aeroplano. Maganda po sana long final o kahit mas malayo pa sa anong phase of flight. Para po mas ma-condense nila ma-assess nila yung runway condition. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Thank you po sa sagot niyo po. Salamat po.
Good morning, Wawi Halim from SBIA.
Yes, good morning, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Ma'am, may tanong lang ako with regards to IPAP. Medyo may confusion po ako. Kasi sabi po nung una, yung concurrence itemate is to leave it empty. Pero bandang huli, sabi niyo po, there were the following signatories would include concurrence from ATS facility. Medyo nagulo po ako doon.
Yes, sir. Yun. Sir, regarding po dun sa concurrence, remember on how we or how we pagdating sa regular NOTAM, on the regular NOTAM authority. But for SNOWTAM, we are handling SNOWTAM as emergency. Ano niya, yung dapat maging timely siya, di ba po? So yun, yung pagdating sa SNOWTAM po, tinanggal po natin yung mga
Janice, chapi-chapi po.
Because it will, kumbaga, ang
Choppy po.
clear po ba? Clear po? Hello?
This time okay na.
Putol-putol po kanina, ma'am, the whole time you were talking, you were speaking.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, Teacher.
Yes po.
Dal, can you hear? Hello? Test?
Okay na, Teacher. Good na yung ngayon.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Hello? Sorry po, nawala ako. Can I
Hello,
be heard
okay
now?
na. Okay na.
Okay na?
Oo.
Yun po. Sige, pasensya na po. So you were saying that even kanina malabo yung ano ko? Hindi po ako naririnig kanina when I was presenting?
Yung presentation okay ka dyan. Yung answer mo lang doon sa question regarding sa concurrence. Walang maintindihan doon. Pero this time okay na.
Okay na, sige, salamat. So sige, babalikan ko na lang po yun. Regarding sa concurrence, pagdating po sa, sana ba yung nabanggit ko kanina? So regarding sa concurrence, remember when we ask, when we request for issuance of a NOTAM, the regular NOTAM that we have, meron tayong mga concurrence. We need, the concurrence says needs to be signed, and then the approving authority needs to be signed. But how we tackle this NOTAM is emergency, for emergency. So tinanggal namin yung pag-approving authority, provided that the name of the originator is in the official list of the designated data originator or the designated safety officer, aerodrome inspector that your area manager or manager designated or designated. So it's submitted to the TWG, and from the TWG, yun lang po yung listahan na pwede naming ma-consider. So nandun yung ano na yung kumbaga the authority that was given to the data originator. But as mentioned, merong mga SNOTAM that would require you to close your runway or close a taxiway, close a certain movement area in your aerodrome. So pag meron pong ganon, closure ng runway or magbabago ang declared distance ng runway nyo, pag declared distance po yung pag-uusapan natin, that is considered to be a NOTAM, the normal NOTAM. So pag ganon po, kailangan po natin na i-issue siya as the normal NOTAM. So kailangan siya ng concurrence, kailangan siya ng pirma ng data origin, siya ng pirma ng approving authority. So yun po yung kanina, yung tinatawag na NOTAM related to SNOTAM. Yun po. I hope that answers your question, Sir Wawi. Clear po kaya?
Yes, ma'am. So basically, ma'am, my understanding, SNOWTAM is parang emergency na po. So we just have to send it directly to you. And since alam naman na
Yes.
ni ATS with regards to the RCOW, so we can send it directly to you. Then once it comes back, it will be disseminated. Generally, sila rin naman po makakaunang makatanggap with regards to NOTAM. I mean, basing sa Subic side, yung ATS muna makakatanggap ng NOTAM, then they will disseminate it to us. Ganun po. So basically,
NOTAM?
yung NOTAM po, ma'am, yes ma'am. Kasi sila po nagbibigay sa amin ng copy ng NOTAM kasi wala po kaming tawag nito, directly with NOTAM office. Kasi pinapadala yata through KADAS. So wala naman po kami noon.
Mm-hmm.
So yun. So we'll just treat it as an emergency pala. Copy, ma'am.
That's NOTAM. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Just the NOTAM.
SNOTAM po. Sorry. SNOTAM?
Yung SNOTAM, ma'am. Yung SNOTAM.
Yeah, the SNOTAM is ibibigay, the SNOTAM request should be coming from the data originator na nakalist, designated nyo. And then the related NOTAM for those NOTAM should be requested also by yung mismong airport nyo po. So the SNOTAM, the related NOTAM would undergo the same process as a regular NOTAM.
Yes, ma'am. I believe we already have the designated people who will do who are included in the list for promulgation of SNOWTAM.
Mm-hmm.
Then with the regular NOTAM po, meron naman po kami gumagawa talaga ng regular NOTAM.
Okay. Yes po. Okay, sir. I hope
Thank you.
na
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
you're welcome, sir. We have question here from Sir sino po ba? Sir Michael Edwin Melendres. Confirm ko lang po, pag nag-improve na po ang condition ng runway namin, after po na promulgate ng SNOWTAM, do we need to wait po sa condition na 666 or dry, dry, dry to close the previous SNOWTAM, or we can send a new SNOWTAM with improved condition ng runway na 555 or wet, wet, wet? Yan. Can somebody help me answer this? Cindy from the AIS.
Good morning, sir. Good morning po. Cindy po from AIS. Sir, to answer the question po, yung asan na ba yun? Bali po ang pwede lang po kasi natin i-issue as NOTAM is um yung may standing water. So if ang condition is nag-improve siya na to wet wet wet, ang dissemination lang po nito is ano lang through ATS lang po. So ganun nga po sir. 666 lang po yung yung may issue natin na SNOWTAM kung may previous na na SNOWTAM for that airport. So if wet 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 lang sir ang improvement ng runway condition, ang dissemination niya is through ATES lang po. Ganun po ba na-answer po ba yung yung question? Tama ba?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you po, ma'am.
Ayun
Yes.
po.
Okay. Thank you, Cindy. So as mentioned yung kanina, no, yung first NOTAM is only the ones with the standing water and dry, dry, dry. Questions po? If you have questions, either you could write it on the chat box or you could raise your hand to be acknowledged.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Sir Bonifacio.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Yes. I have a question. Every time when we have SNOWTAM to send to AIS, then if the safety officer sa tingin niya medyo critical yung condition sa ARCA sa yung sa SNOWTAM, then as you presented a while ago, na mayroong separate na IPAC prepare ng ASO for recommendation for closure ng runway because of the critical condition ng runway. Am I right to think that dalawang IPAC na prepare? Kasi meron yung sa ARCAL, meron sa SNOWTAM IPAC, then another IPAC for recommendation sa runway ng runway closure. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Kasi yung mga NOTAM po na related sa SNOWTAM, kailangan po natin siya i-request again for the issuance of a NOTAM.
Pero hindi na siya SNOWTAM ang heading niya, ma'am. NOTAM na ko.
Opo, magiging NOTAM na.
Yung recommendation for closure, NOTAM na po.
Yes po. NOTAM na po yun.
Can we directly send it to AIS or we will send it through ATS, ma'am, para at least yung ATS yung may ano dito sa mga runway sa mga airports. Can we directly send it to AIS or we will send it first through
For the NOTAM, ma'am. For the NOTAM, sir, kailangan po siya mag-undergo ng process na same kagaya sa the regular NOTAM. So you need to have your concurrence. The ATS facility in your airport shall sign it. And
Okay.
then, also, yung inyong approving authority should sign it also before you submit it to us. Or, depende po sa inyong facility, it should pass by ADMS.
Okay, ma'am.
Mm.
Balik lang po ako
Saan
sa
po si sorry
SNOWTAM.
sir, saan po sila? Sorry. Na
Sa
ano?
Surigao Airport po, ma'am. Surigao
Sa
Airport.
Surigao. So it has
Yes
to go and
po.
it has to go through ADMS po. Kasi
ADMS.
opo, kami po ang pagdating sa closure din ADMS po ang aming in except for emergency. ADMS po yung data originator ng mga closure. Pero pag emergency po, emergency in a
So,
sense na
meaning,
hindi wala sa operating hours ng ADMS, pag mga holidays, pag close ang ADMS, it could be directed directly from your facility po.
okay, ma'am. Back to SNOWTAM, ma'am. Kung sakali yung ARCAO with corresponding IPOF ng SNOWTAM, can we be allowed to ask or to request for an official copy from EIS yung SNOWTAM, ma'am, for our attachment or for our reference?
Ah,
Just for
um,
confirmation.
Opo, sir. Sa ngayon po kasi ang ating wala pa tayong means of parang kasi um, para sa iba po, you can check po kasi yung mga notam natin sa ano po sa ating website sa ats.kaap.gov.ph. Nakikita mo natin yung mga notam natin. But in terms of this notam, we are still trying to fix or we're still hinahanapan pa namin ng way kung paano natin siya pwede mapakita yung notam dun sa website. Pero ang ginagawa po namin ngayon, pagka-issue po ng SNOTAM, we email it back to the person that to the data originator that submitted the request sa amin. So through the data originator po nyo makikita yung email na yon. So makikita nyo po yung
Bali yung
SNOTAM.
email, ah, ay bali SNOWTAM na po na gawa na ng AIS, ma'am, yung makikita namin na as
Yung
acknowledged by the
email na
AIS.
po namin. Opo, email namin po dun sa data originator.
Email na po.
Opo. Opo.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Opo. Okay, sir. I hope nasagot namin yung tanong niyo, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, sir. We have a question dito po sa ating chat box from Sir Noel. So does that mean the validity of the SNOTAM cannot be cancelled until the runway is dry? Sir Noel, for the SNOTAM, ang validity po ng SNOTAM natin is 8 hours. So pag once halimbawa na ano na siya na kumbaga the SNOTAM is valid for 8 hours. So automatically nagka-cancel na siya. Pero what do you mean? Does that mean the validity of the SNOTAM cannot be cancelled?
Ma'am Janice, Noel.
Okay. Sir?
Actually,
yes.
Follow-up question po yun dun sa kung pwedeng, kasi kung nag-improve yung runway from 222, for example, naging 555 siya, and
Opo.
through our reporting lang siya, i-report lang siya sa ETS and hindi siya through SNOWTAM. So, ibig sabihin, pag 666 lang, pwedeng ma-cancel yung previous SNOWTAM.
Yes po. Yes, sir.
Alright. Thank you.
Ayan po. Salamat, sir. Then we have another question from Davao. About the red lighting alert, even po hindi siya na-issue ni Pag-asa yet may na-observe po ang mga inspectors na mga lightning flashes po. Ano po ang gagawin? Ano po ang mas practicable gawin? Go on with the assessment? I think can I call on member of the TWG to help me out sa question na to? Si Ma'am Nems.
Hello po.
Ma'am, okay. Thank you, Ma'am Nance.
Oo. Pasensya na, kausap ko si Vincent, may kinaklarify sa akin. Ano ba yung tanong, ma'am? Is
Yung tanong po dito from Kaap Davao, ma'am, about red lightning alert po. Even po hindi siya na-issue ni Pag-asa, yet may na-observe po ang mga inspectors na mga lightning flashes po. Ano po ang mas practicable gawin? Go on with the assessment.
ayun. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Shan, for the question. Kailangan natin, Shan, to remember always that the safety of our inspectors is yung priority natin. So, yun lang po. Kung if you think na pag nag-assess sila and it will endanger them during the assessment, mag-wait na lang po tayo ng mas safer na condition. Safety po, always safety ng inyong mga inspector and inspectors. And then of course, pag ganyan sir, maganda rin po mag-develop kayo ng mga procedure, yung contingency plan or say procedure talaga when and how or ano yung mga criteria ninyo na when not to conduct assessment kung may ganitong condition or when to conduct assessment. So mga ganun lang sir. I hope that answers the question, Sir Shan.
Thank you po, ma'am. Thank you po.
We'll always remember it's better to be safe than sorry. Thank you, Ma'am Janice.
Thank you po, Ma'am Lems. I'm reading na lang po from the chat box. So, from Ma'am Louie Asantor, is it necessary to put the end of SNOWTAM duration if it's beyond our airport and FSSRs of operations? For our SNOWTAM, okay. Ako na po. Does somebody want to answer this po? Okay. For the SNOWTAM duration, mention po, yung information is only the is kung kailan po open yung ating FSS or sabay.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Hello?
I'm not sure sa others kung
sorry, hello, Ma'am Nems?
Opo. Medyo choppy. I'm not sure kung sa akin lang yun na internet or
Hello po. Sorry.
Choppy po, choppy.
choppy talaga.
Choppy talaga. Pasensya na po. Let's see paano ko po maayos to. Saglit lang. May nakasagot na po ba nung wala na yung aking mga questions?
Ma'am Janice, pwede ko bang madagdagan yung tinanong kanina regarding sa duration ng SNOWTAM? Hindi ko sure kung nakuha ng but dito po from my side.
Yes. Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead po.
Opo.
Sige po, ma'am, please.
Okay. Doon po sa question, is it necessary to put the end of SNOWTAM duration if it is beyond our airport and FSS hours of operation? So we all know po na yung ating pong SNOWTAM has a validity time na 8 hours only. So if during the time na mag-e-end na po yung inyong hours of operation and the runway is still wet, so kumbaga, hindi rin kasi tatanggapin ng AIS yung inyong request for another SNOWTAM na nag-improve na yung runway. So better po, nahayaan na natin siyang mag-expire. But the thing is, the next day, kailangan nyo po siyang magkaroon kayo ulit ng runway inspection just to see if the condition still exists or not. If it does not exist, say wala na po tayong standing water, and wet na lang, at least meron po kayong ginawa na RCR saying that the runway surface condition is wet. And then, of course, kasama doon yung ating percentage and percentage coverage and yung may runway CC. And then, if it is also, if during the time of your assessment, nag-dry na, at least po may isara po ninyo yung previous na RCR na nagawa. So, sa ating pong training, palagi sinasabi doon na pag may RCR po kayo, maganda pong i-close yun. And then another po is parang na-recommend din po yata sa training natin, first day na may duty kayo, kumwari nag-close and then nagkaroon ng another duty, 6 a.m., magandang practice. Best practice po na tingnan niyo po yung runway, baka po wet or mahamog, yung damp. So kasi kasama din po yun sa na-assess natin. Yung damp po, kinoconsider natin siyang wet. So yun lang po, I hope na medyo nabigyan po ng linaw ng konti yung question as well as yung other related na mga questionable na mga tinitingnan natin during sa pag-trial natin. Yun lang po, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am Nems, maraming salamat po. Thank you. Sorry ladies and gentlemen, pagpasensyahan niyo na po ang aking internet nawawala-wala. So, balik po tayo sa ating mga questions sa chat box. Ito, from Sir Jan Ray Ventura, paano po sa amin dito sa Lingayen Airport na wala pong ATS? How can we inform the pilots or aircraft? Thank you. So, who can best answer this one po?
Sir Robin.
Sir Robin.
Hello. Opo. Question po uli ng Lingayen. Go ahead po.
Babasahin ko na lang po, Sir Robin. Sabi
Yes,
nila, sabi ni Sir Jan Ray Ventura, paano po sa amin dito sa Lingayen Airport na wala pong ATS? How can we inform the pilots or the aircraft?
First off, hindi ko po kasi alam kung ano yung parang method of communication na binibigay ng Lingayen. Kasi po pag ang flight is en route papuntang Lingayen, kapag hindi po siya SNOWTAM, hindi po ma-receive, tama po ba ng flight crew yan even before departure, from point of departure na dapat nakuha ni SNOWTAM. Kasi po kapag RCR lang yan, hindi po siya disseminated na mas laganap kasi hindi po naka-SNOWTAM. So pag sinabing RCR, dapat true voice. Ang tanong ko po, kasi parang napag-usapan namin to ng aming boss sa ATS, si Miss Singson, is there a UHF radio? Kasi I do not know the available resource of Lingayen. Ano ba po ang meron sila, UHF, or as in wala talaga? That is my question for Lingayen po.
Hello po, good morning. John Ray Ventura po from Lingayen
Yes,
Airport.
Yes, Mr. Ventura.
Sir,
Opo.
wala po kaming UHF, ganun po.
Sorry for my ignorance. Is Lingayen community airport po? Talagang
Yes po.
uncontrolled Wala
Opo.
remote.
VFR po kami.
Mahirap nga 'yun. Oo nga po. Well, probably this was the topic that was um, brought up nung sa TWG namin at last time yata eh. I'll have to consult as well with the other members on how to transfer to flight crew yung runway condition assessment na ginawa ng Lingayen. Kasi una nga, number one, um, community airport pala siya, walang services provided, and pagla-landing siya, paano niya, the flight crew, paano nga niya makukuha, lalo pag hindi naman snow time, hindi ba po? I think most probably, medyo huli na nga lahat, kung kailan lumanding, pag pa-take off, siguro I think it would just be parang committal na siguro as an airport operator, you'd give the RCR to them. Siguro habang nasa rampa, which is syempre mas maganda sana yung paglanding. But we'll see po pag-uusapan namin sa TWG kasi kapag runway condition report, mostly ang magiging report naman yan is you have only a wet runway but there could be a runway condition report din kasi na yung tinatawagan nating slippery wet. Yun po yung sinatawag na yung tres. Kasi yung dos yung standing eh. Kasi po pag tres, ibig sabihin po niya sa report ninyo na tres, walang baha, pero yung runway nyo ay madulas due to runway maintenance issues. Possibly, kuminis na po yung semento ng runway due to wear and tear or the issue of too much rubber deposits na kaya po pag nabasa yung runway is madulas. So, yun lang po ang magiging parang safety issue with regards sa RCR. So, we'll get back to you, sir. And this was discussed nung nagkita kami ni Sir Erwin nga ng chairman ng TWG. Sabi niya, oh, anong gagawin na natin sa mga ganyan, sir? We'll get back to you, Sir John Ray. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you po. Noted po.
Thank you po, Sir John Ray. Thank you, Sir Robin. Next question dito sa chat. It's a request from Luis from Baguio Tower. Pwede po makahingi ng sample ng SNOWTAM request through CADAS kami mag-send. So Luis, you're asking sample talaga. So far, during this trial, we have not received any request for SNOWTAM through CADAS. So most nang nagpapadala is really through email, through Viber. Meron kami meron kaming konti from through Viber. Wala pa rin through fax. So is that your question? Tama ba, Luis? You want a sample?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning po sa lahat. Kasi inisip ko lang, ma'am, minsan kasi, wala kaming wifi sa tower. And then, minsan yung data is mabagal. So, parang paano kung wala talagang way na internet. So, kaya, kung meron kayong sample, ma'am, or process kung paano mag-request ng ganun through CADAS.
You can use the free text. You can
Free
use the free text sa CADAS and then you just force NOTAM request for SNOWTAM or force NOTAM issuance, then you indicate din yung kanina nga sinabi na yung nasa nasa memorandum na ilalagay lang natin yung RCR and then the name of the data originator, your inspector, and then dapat yung inspector din, remember, should be on the official list of data inspector and then his designation, parang ganun. So then you send it to RPLLY NYX.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. You can always call na lang din to kung kailangan ulit. Okay? Yun. Thank you. From San Fernando, visual flight rule po kami. Wala pong operations if raining. Okay. I believe that's a comment. Try nyo sorry. Okay. So far, that's the question sa aming and request dito sa ating chat box. So, I hope may naklaro tayo. I hope especially sa pag fill up ng IPAF, I hope the one I presented to you is helpful. Also
Miss Janice,
yes, go ahead, Sir Robin.
Opo. May ka-clarify lang ako dito sa group kasi nakita ko nga kanina yung yung mga common practice errors nung yung sa coverage. Okay. Meron kasi doon, di ba, nakalagay 9/50/100, parang ganun, ano. May we want to review, di ba po, kasi may bracketing yun yung grouping, di ba, sa coverage. Nung na-assess nila na 9% lang yung basa on the first part of the runway, hanggang saan ba ang bracketing uli natin yan? Kapag it is less than 10%, it is no report. Tama ba?
Yes, sir. Pag less than 10%, it's NR.
NR, no?
Mhm.
If it is 10% to 25%,
25.
halimbawa 13% ang coverage ng basa, you have to put 25, di
25.
ba?
Yes, sir. It has
Oh,
to be
yun.
25 na po.
So that is for our information po, na walang butal-butal na 9, 8. Kapag below 10%, it should be no report. November Romeo. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Robin.
Good morning din po. Idagdag ko lang din po dun sa regarding dyan sa percentage and runway and its equivalent runway CC. So ang less than 10%, less than 10%, ang equivalent na runway CC niya dapat is 6. So dry siya. And then yung 10% to 25%, ang equivalent runway CC niya is 6 din. So dry din siya. So yung 25 below, ang equivalent na runway CC niya is 6. So yun, dry na siya. And I think napag-agrihan din sa and based din sa mga documents. Bali ang equivalent na ang reportable. Ang i-report na percentage niya is NR na. So pag ganun, ang runway CC niya.
Hello po.
So, yeah, hello? Yes po.
Yes po, Ma'am Lems.
Ko lang, i-clarify yung runway CC6 natin, so, yung first part po, runway CC6 ang i-assign if the coverage is less than 10%. So, 1 to 9 na coverage na wet. So, runway CC6 po yon. Pagdating po natin sa 10 to 25, tama rin po yung sabi ni Ma'am Cindy, runway CC6 pa rin po ang i-assign. Pero based po kasi sa IKO circular natin, meron po siyang kailangang kasama na bigyan mo siya ng percentage. So if it's between 10 to 25, the coverage is 25 plus contaminant. So ilalagay din yung contaminant na wet. So runway CC6 plus coverage plus contaminant. Ito actually, I'm not sure kung yung ating mga runway inspectors is nakuha na to or not, kung may mga kumbaga confusion pagdating dito. Kasi kung titingnan na po natin, usually 6 assumption natin, the runway is really dry. Pero the IKO circular, yung training natin, and the IKO document 9981 says na pag 10 to 25, it should be assigned 6, pero may kasama pa siyang contaminant and i-report din yung coverage and then the contaminant. So, sana malinawan. Although it is 6, kailangan po natin siyang ma-report yung kanyang coverage and the contaminant. So, pagdating naman po sa AIS, kasi ito na pag-usapan na rin, so di po ba 666, pero may mga coverage na po na say 25% wet, other runway is 6 pa rin, 25% wet, another runway is 6 pa rin, 25% wet. So sinasabi natin pwede na sana siyang i-close dahil 666 na po. But the system ng AIS po, hindi po siya tumatanggap ng 6 plus coverage. Ang tinatanggap lang po ng system yata is 6 plus coverage is NR, the contaminant is NR, and then the coverage is NR, the depth is NR, then dry. So yun po yung pang-close natin. In case na magre-request po kayo ng SNOWTAM, ang tatanggapin na po ng AIS, correct me if I'm wrong, is 666 NR doon sa depth plus dry. So if you have this RCR with 666 but meron po kayong 25 wet, NR and wet, although 6 na po yan, pag tinitingnan po yan ng piloto, they'll compute that as dry. Kaya lang po, yung system po mismo ng ating AIS, hindi po sila magre-reflect doon ng 25 wet. So, yun po, para po sa ating mga inspectors, sa mga ating mga reporters, that para po kayong mag-request ng cancellation ng existing SNOWTAM ninyo, kailangan po yung inyong report is tatlong 6, tatlong NR plus dry. Yun lang po siya. Pero pwede nyo po siyang i-assess na yun ang makikita ninyo sa inyong report, yung merong mga coverage, although it is 6. Kasi po yun po yung binigay na guidance ng IKO Circular 355 tsaka IKO Document 9981. Sana po ito medyo mabigyan linaw din, medyo madami po tayong participants sa ngayon at i-disseminate sa lahat ng mga inspector natin on how to assign the runway CC6. Yun lang po. If medyo naguluhan po kayo, just say so po para medyo ma-clarify na in this venue. Baka, ayun, na-confuse nga. Ma'am Janice?
Yes, ma'am. Subic Airport si Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Na-confuse.
Yes, sir. Nakita ko na-confuse na nga.
Oo, na-confuse ako. Ano ba yun? Ang dami ko narinig. Ma'am, i-clear ko lang. I would give a scenario. I-check nyo po kung tama yung assessment ko ha.
Sige po.
Doon po sa assume na nag-assess si Subic. Upon their assessment, nakita nila na 100% coverage do sa first runway third, second runway third, and third runway third, puro 100% coverage. Pero doon sa first runway third, above 4 mm siya. So dapat code to yun, ma'am, di ba?
Yes, sir.
Then doon sa second runway third, 100% coverage din siya of the runway third, pero less than sabihin natin 2 mm lang siya. So dapat 5 'yon.
Yes, sir.
Then the percentage of coverage, since 100% siya, it should be 100% then. The percentage of coverage.
Ilalagay yung last third, sir, pwedeng paulit po yung last third, sir.
Yung sa second runway third, ma'am, ang coverage niya sa assessment is 100. Tapos ang depth of water niya is 2 mm sa 2 mm lang. So ang runway CC niya is 5. Then the percentage of coverage is 100%. Tama po ba?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ano yung sinasabi po na dapat mag-NR?
Eto, sir. Ma'am Janice, can I present po?
Sure, ma'am. I-find ko lang po.
Yung ating Word document.
Go ahead po, ma'am.
Saglit lang, ha? Ito po. Share. May nakikita na po. May nakikita na po ba?
Yes, ma'am Nems, meron po. The one in the red box?
Yes po, mayroon tayong naka-red. So, di po ba sa unang-una? Ito, unang-una doon sa ating naka-table, pag mayroon kayong more than 25% sa initial na assessment ninyo, tsaka pa lang kayo magkakaroon ng RCR. So, lahat po dapat yung inyong, one of the runways, meron siyang more than 25% na coverage ng contaminant. So it should only start when 1/3 of the runway is 25%. Pero pag lahat kasi na 25%, no need to produce an RCR unless na yung RCR po na yan ay mayroong, kumbaga, yan yung succeeding RCR. So may previous RCR kayo. Okay? So dito po, sinasabi po kayo ng IKO 9981 dito po siya naka-red, if 25% or less area of the runway is wet or covered by the contaminant, a runway CC6 shall be reported. So 25 or less, please take note yan. And then, sinasabi po dito sa IKO Circular 355 or single contaminant, clearly po sinasabi dito na pag less than 10%, dito po sa picture, less than 10%, ang i-report ninyo is runway CC6, tapos yung succeeding not reported na, and then dry. But sa number 2 po kasi, if the percent contaminant coverage for the third is equal to 10%, but less than 25% or equal to 25%, so 10 to 25, runway CC6 pa rin po ang i-report, pero this time, yung RCR nyo po, maglalagay na kayo ng contaminant plus 25% coverage. So yan po So example po natin dyan, ito po, key takeaway natin. So pag less than 10% po, runway CC6, coverage mo is NR, depth mo is ONR, contaminant or runway surface description mo ay dry. Dry pala. And then, pero pag meron po kayong water, so 10 to 25, magra-runway CC6 pa rin po kayo, pero this time, magkakaroon po kayo ng coverage na 25% doon sa report ninyo. Yung depth po natin is NR, and yung contaminant po natin is wet. So, si figure 4-1, ito po yung figure 4-1. Ito po yun. So, yung sinasabi niya, runway CC6 plus contaminant plus 25% coverage. Yan po ang sinasabi ng IKO Circular 355. So I hope sir, So dalawa ang pwedeng mapag-assign na natin ng runway CC6, yung totally dry, and then yung isa is pag 25 or less na coverage, pero meron tayong contaminant na i-report. So same din ito, although this is not clearly given guidance from IKO document, kaso lang, yung standing water po natin kasi contaminant. What if it is 25%? Will we still assign runway CC6? If pagbabasihan po natin yung IKO Circular 355, yung document natin, yes, kailangan po nating mag-assign ng 25 ng runway CC6 sa standing water with a coverage of 25%. Pero di ba required to, pag may standing water, kailangan nating i-report yung 4 mm na depth. So, yun po, pag may standing water kayo, pero 25 or less, kailangan nyo po siyang, on the third of the runway, mag-assign po kayo ng runway CC6 doon. Mag-assign po kayo ng 25% coverage doon. Sasabihin nyo rin po yung depth noon at sasabihin nyo rin yung contaminant standing water. Now, magtatanong kayo, ay standing water yan, masyadong, tawag dito, it will affect greatly. Pero sabi po kasi, based on sa mga question and answer, sa mga webinar, ito po yung sinasabi nila. Galing po ito sa question and answer sa, I think, AYASA na seminar to. Although it is contaminated by 25%, it has been demonstrated that in condition of contamination just below the reporting threshold, but concentrated in the most unfavorable location, this assumption of dry runway will still provides positive stop margins. So yun yung pinakaano nila mga sirs and ma'am, na although nandun na siya sa 25 or less, standing water na, medyo contaminated na siya, kung 25% lang nakakonsentrate sa isang portion ng inyong runway, then it will, yung assumption po ng mga piloto dyan na ginagamit is dry, and it will still provide positive stop margin para sa kanila. Ito, the computation assumption made by the flight crew will be a dry runway, uniformly bare of moisture, water, and contamination. So yan po, bakit po okay lang na 25% pero 6 pa rin. So yan po And to close the RCR, ay the SNOWTAM po, to close the SNOWTAM, kailangan po, due to the limitation ng system ng AIS in using SNOWTAM, the SNOWTAM can only be closed. Yan po. Uncontaminated. NR. Dry. So, iyan po. So, dalawa po ang napag-usapan. Yung isa, yung pag-assign ng runway CC6 pag may 10 to 25% coverage ka. And then yung closure po ng SNOWTAM. Na ito lang po ang tatanggapin ng AIS and ng system ng AIS. So, yan din po yung sinasabi sa ating GRF. Final RCR to be issued would be 666 NR dry. So yan po. I hope na-clarify yan. I know na medyo maraming nalito dyan. Stop share.
Ma'am, Subi Colette.
Yes, sir. Medyo nalito po ba?
Medyo. So ma'am, i-clear ko lang ha. So kapag ang coverage, ano po ba ma'am, for the whole runway po ba? More than 25% for of the whole runway? Or let's say
any third, kung ang any third mo ng runway is more than 25%, dyan po lang po magsisimula yung RCR or runway assessment and generation of RCR.
So any. So hindi pala ibig sabihin na for the whole runway lang.
Hindi po sir. Siguro so, sir, check niya doon. Kasi di ba yung first question is any, doon yata sa archive natin, is any third of the runway more than 25%?
Yes, opo. Oo.
So yun sir.
So kapag less than, halimbawa, yung first runway third and second runway third is less than 25% lang yung coverage nung contamination. No need for the RCR na.
No sir. Kailangan po lahat sila not more than 25%. If any of the third is more than 25%, kailangan niyo na po mag-generate ng RCR.
Ano daw? Wait lang ma'am, paulit. Di ko ma-absorb.
pag ano sir, let's say kahit yung first and second ninyo is dry, but yung third runway ninyo is more than 25%, then you still need to generate an RCR.
More than 25% po ang coverage ng contamination.
Ng isang runway, ng isang third.
Ng runway third.
Apo.
Regardless ma'am kung yung depth of water niya is less than 4 or above 4.
Yes sir, kahit wet lang po siya, and if it is more than 25% covered by contaminant, then magsa-start na po generation. Ito po ano sir sa initial. Kasi di ba pag succeeding naman, kahit na puro less than 25, kailangan yung mag-generate ng RCR dahil ito na yung kasunod, nagpapakita na improving runway condition na may exist. Okay. And may i-close nyo lang po iyon pag nandun na kayo sa 666, dry.
So, ulitin ko lang mama to confirm. So, more than 25% of each third lang.
Yes, sir.
Doon lang kami magpa-file ng RCR. Pero kung less than lang siya, less than 25% of each third or specific third, no need for RCR na.
Yes, sir. Bali, pag nagka 25 po kayo doon sa mga any third of the runway nyo or sa all third of the runway ninyo, so kasi kung ang titingnan po natin, 666 po yung i-assign nyo dyan. So there's no for you to generate RCR pa. Pero pag dumating na siya sa 50% wet, doon, kailangan nyo na pong mag-generate and magbigay ng RCR sa ating AIS.
Okay, ma'am. Clear na po. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning po, Ma'am. Christina from Mactan.
Good morning po, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, magtanong lang po. Kung halimbawa, isang third ng runway is contaminated by standing water of more than 25%, do we need to promulgate an IPAF aside from the RCR?
Yes, ma'am. Pag any third ninyo naman ay meron ng standing water, then required na po siya na mag-promulgate kayo ng SNOWTAM.
And then we will have a follow-up SNOWTAM if the condition is improving.
Mag-ano, ma'am, pag nagkaroon po ng mga significant changes doon sa naunang SNOWTAM, then you need to update the SNOWTAM. And then, ang last po, yung pang-close na, although it's an improving condition, pero hindi po siya pa nandun sa 666 dry, hindi pa rin po siya ma-process ng AIS. Tama ba, Ma'am Janice?
For ano po ma'am, for pagdating sa SNOWTAM, the SNOWTAM that you can issue are those with the standing water and yung dry. So pag halimbawang may improvement from yung sa inyong sa RCR po natin, we could pag nagbago yung ating RCR at hindi siya pang SNOWTAM, pero kailangan pa rin po natin siya ipadala sa ATS facility. So pero in case na hindi siya dapat SNOWTAM, hindi na po pupunta sa AIS 'yon. So sa facility po, sa tower po sila ipapadala pag may changes sa RCR. Pero sa pag yung i-renew natin yung SNOWTAM or for improvement ng tinatawag na ng RCR, the only ang mai-issue lang namin as SNOWTAM are those na merong standing water. So yung kapag ang RCRS ay may standing water or yung dry.
Yes, ma'am.
Tama po ba, sir?
Pa-follow up lang
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
ma'am Janice. Oo. Actually, kaya lang tayo naghumihingi ng services ng AIS, dinudulog natin yung services ng AIS is para ma-issue yung SNOWTAM. Kaya po tayo nag-i-issue ng SNOWTAM kapag any third of the runway is baha, which is more than 3 millimeters. Doon lang po ina-accept yon for promulgation. Pag wala naman baha, hindi po ini-SNOWTAM.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Ay, dagdag ko pala. Oo nga pala. Nakalimutan ko. Yung sinasabi ko pong significant change, like for first third ninyo, 2 and then the rest 5. Pero nagkaroon po kayo ng mas worse na condition. Like, naging 2/3 na po ng runway ninyo nagkaroon ng 2. Then, I think it should have an updated SNOWTAM. Or naging 3 na yung 2 ninyo or 3 runway CC 222 na, then I think kailangan din i-update yung SNOWTAM kasi medyo hindi na maganda yung condition. Yun po yung sinasabi kong significant condition. And of course, pag yung dati ninyong 2 is 25 or say 50% nung una, naging 2 siya pero naging 75 or 100% of that third na. So significant din po yun na kailangan, I think, ma-update din yung SNOWTAM ninyo. Yun po.
Okay. Thank you po, ma'am. Thank you. Well noted.
Names. Good morning.
Yes.
Si Chris Jones, Kalibo.
Opo.
Meron kaming RCR na 555 which is wet. Do we need to, kung nag-upgrade na kami, yung runway condition is dry na sila, do we need to close yung 555 or SNOWTAM na 666 as dry, ma'am? Do we need to file an IPAP and send to EIS to close the current or the previous RCR na 555 or only for standing water na i-close yung RCR for dry?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I dagdag ko pala, nga pala, nakalimutan ko. Yung sinasabi ko pong significant change, like for first third ninyo 2 and then the rest 5. Pero nagkaroon po kayo ng worse I think sir, yung sinasabi niyo, yung i-close niyo yung RCR doon sa ATS pag dry. Pero pag meron kayong existing SNOWTAM na meron doon standing water, may 2 kayo, I think you need to close din yon if nag-dry na siya and then valid pa yung SNOWTAM within the 8 hours ng una siyang na-promulgate. Kasi nag-improve na rin. And yun na nga, pag 666. And of course, yung sinasabi niyo kanina, ulitin ko lang, pag 555 yung una ninyong binigay sa ATS, and then nag-dry na, so wala tayong na-issue na SNOWTAM, ano? Pero kahit na wala pang na-issue SNOWTAM, at least ma-update din yung ATS na nagkaroon na ng improvement at nag-dry na yung runway. Magandang practice po, and actually sinasabi din ng ating training.
Yes, to add po, no, Sir Chris, to put it in perspective, di ba nag-issue na ng SNOWTAM dahil may baha, let's say sa Kalibo. Tapos, di ba, we have to remember that the SNOWTAM is valid for 8 hours. But necessarily, halimbawa dun sa full 8 hours na yon, yung issued na SNOWTAM, syempre may baha yun, which is 4 millimeters and above. Sa 8 oras na yon, hindi naman puro baha lagi yon. Humuhupa na yun, let's say, although sabi nga, self-canceling yung SNOWTAM 8 oras, pero baka sa pang-apat na oras pa lang, wala nang baha. Halimbawa po, ganun. So, ang sabi po ng AIS, hindi kami tumatanggap na ng ano ninyo, ng IPAF request kung ang nakasulat sa IPAF nyo ay wala ng baha, which is less than 4. Kasi remember, ang SNOWTAM issuance lang po ay kapag may contaminant yung standing water. Tapos ang sinasabi ng AIS, tatanggapin lang namin kung isasara nyo na. Yung tipong ang 666, no report, no report, no report. Kaya sabi, what do we do with the vacuum? Yun nga pa yung sinasabi ninyo na hindi naman po kasi necessarily na, di ba, may SNOWTAM, existing Kalibo, 8 oras na validity. Paano pag humupa na? Tapos, pero basa pa rin yung runway, pero wala nang baha. Siyempre, hindi na po kayo pwede mag-request ng panibagong IPAF sa AIS kasi nga po, wala nang baha, pero basa pa rin. Doon na po papasok yung, if ever, magre-request kayo sa ATS, sa tower na we'd like to reassess the runway or probably yung tower ang magre-request sa inyo, pwede bang isang pasada uli? Ano na yung bagong update? RCR na lang po yun. And then you have to send it now to Kalibo Tower para nila yung panibagong runway condition na wala ng baha. Yun na lang yung binabato ng tower sa flight crew. Na halimbawa, 100% pa rin, pero ano na yon, less than 4, 3 millimeters below, so no report. Yan po yung ibig sabihin nila.
Thank you, Sir Robin. Sir Chris?
Thank you, Sir Robin and Ma'am Nims. And kay Sir Robin na lang, sir, to clarify, sir.
Yes, sir, opo.
Yung tinatanggap lang ba ng ATS is only RCR, hindi nakasama yung ARCAO? Or
Actually, sir, kasi parang based doon sa mga nakikita kong forms, yung mga forms, wala namang kasing form na ginawa ang kaap, ang ANSO, na form lang, isang A4 size na papel, na pang RCR lang wala Actually, yung runway condition report is nakalagay dun sa ARCAO dun sa pinakita ni Ma'am Janice kanina, dun sa pinakababang box na maliit sa kanan baba dulo. Dun sa ARCAO lang So, ito, most practices po nung karamihan ng tower na nire-report ngayon, pagkatapos mag-assess ng mga bumbero, bato agad sa radyo, sa tower, kung ano yung runway condition. Ayan, yung pinapakita ni Ma'am Janice, thank you po. Nasa right, lower right, dyan yung RCR. Yan yung ARCAO ninyo. Ang karamihan po na pumapasok sa akin mga feedback, ang dinidiscarte ng ibang airport at tower, para makuha agad yung RCR, Pagkatapos ninyo mag-assess, binabato agad sa radyo sa tower, yung halimbawa, ready to copy RCR, go ahead. So yan yung nasa blue box sa baba. Pero ang nire-request ko po sa mga towers din sa coordination procedure, kahit makuha ng, ng tower, laway lang yun eh. Laway lang yun. We need to have the official document. So kung pwede po, isend nyo yung runway condition assessment worksheet na mismo, which contains the official RCR report, sa tower. So hindi ko po alam paano yung coordination ninyo kasi basta maipadala nyo either physically ba or through the web or email. Kung ano pa yung nag-iusapan nyo, picturean nyo, may chat group ba kayo na ginawa. So ganun lang po. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Robin, kasi in the case sa Kalibo, RCR lang talaga hinihingi ng ATS, hindi na yung kasama yung runway condition assessment worksheet. Yun lang po. So,
okay.
to clarify,
If that is kung yan po ang usapan ninyo, I will respect that po. Pero sana na mapag-usapan nyo mabuti yung data integrity ha, kasi
yes,
yun
sir.
lang, kasi
And,
ang dangers lang nun makuha lang ng tower yun, laway lang, wala yung pinakakopya nito. Ang tanong ko po ito,
yes, sir.
ano pag nagbatuhan kayo sa radyo, may maling na kopya yung taga-tower. Kung halimbawa, go ahead, /25/. So, akin po, sa akin, ang take ko dyan, maganda, mabigyan sila mismo ng physical copy, hindi lang
Yes,
yung...
yeah. Yan ang pinapoint
Oo
namin, sir, na dapat meron talaga silang copy ng ARCAO. So, we will set a meeting to discuss that another, sir. Thank you, sir, Sir Robin.
Yun lang po. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sir Robin. Thank you, Ma'am Nems. So, yun. Marami pong naklaro sa sinabi nila Ma'am Nems and Sir Robin. Pero I have here one question na natabunan
Hello?
sa kanina. But I will give you...
Line check? Okay na
Yes?
po.
Ay, hello, sir? Hello? Clear ba? Can I be heard?
Yes,
So sige, dito po meron pong question dito na natabunan lang kanina. Galing kay Sir Junri Miller. Ang question niya, during RCR simulate not aware of GRF, alam na po ba ng lahat ng airlines regarding GRF? See the question of Sir Junri. Hello po. Or sino po that can answer, that would best answer this?
Wala tayong ma'am representative from FSIS.
FSIS.
Good morning, Ma'am Janice.
Ay, Ma'am Trisha. Ma'am Trisha.
Audible ka, Ma'am Janice? Go ahead.
Ma'am Janice, may I? Magko-comment na ako dun sa question.
Okay.
Okay lang po ba?
Okay. Yes po, ma'am. Sorry.
Medyo hindi lang, medyo choppy
po
lang.
Yung nabasa mo naman.
Doon po sa, saglit lang. Yung question.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead. Inaanap ko siya, pero not, no.
Janice, nagcha-choppy ka uli.
Anyway, can I ano na lang comment, Ma'am Janice, tuloy ko na to. Medyo choppy lang talaga, hindi masyadong maintindihan. Hindi ko rin sure kung nag-go or not. Anyway, doon po sa question regarding kung alam na po ba ng lahat ng pilots natin yung GRF. So there's an ongoing training po na kinakandak yung FSIS. So meron po silang ginawang schedule. So if yung mga
Recording stopped.
during the trial period ninyo and nakausap niyo mga pilots, hindi pa nila alam, maybe it's because hindi pa nila na-undergone yung training, but supposedly dapat lahat po ng ating mga pilots alam to, regardless of kung ano man yung dala nila or kung anong company nila. They may be airline company, parang utility, or say training. They need also to know about the GRF kasi po yung ating bottom line ng GRF is to improve safety and inform the pilots and give the pilots a more, say, help them to decide. Hindi naman siya totally na siya yung magiging deciding factor, but this will help them decide whether yung kanilang pag-landing o pag-take off sa isang runway is safe, kaya ba ng kanilang aircraft or not. So, ito po, siguro antayin lang natin until such time na ma-fully implement na yung ginawang training schedule ng ating FSIS. And of course, nagre-reach out din talaga doon sa mga iba pa. Though we expect na yung ating mga training schools, flight training schools, medyo mahuhuli sila. Yung mga airports po natin na walang ATS, expect nyo rin po na yung mga dadating sa inyo ay hindi pa masyadong alam. But we are trying to ask all our airport operators, private, public, international, domestic, as well as our pilots. Kasi hindi lang naman po sila dito sa Pilipinas nag-ooperate. They may be operating in other countries where they will be given the RCR. So ito po, antay-antayin lang natin until such time na siguro ma-disseminate na yung training and ma-cover na lahat ng ating mga pilots.
Recording in progress.
So yun lang po yung aking comment. Ma'am Janice, I know na nandito na po kayo. So I hope that gives information sa atin dito sa atin lahat. Bakit may mga pilots tayo na hindi pa alam? Hindi pa aware dun sa GRF. So yun po, Ma'am Janice.
Ay, hello po. Naku, ladies and gentlemen, pagpasensyahan niyo po talaga ang aking internet. Ako'y laging nadi-disconnect. So yun po. Yun po. Any other question? Thank you, Ma'am Nems. May mga question pa po sila? Yun po. Yeah. Ma'am Nems?
Meron
Go
po
ahead po.
dito sa ating chat message.
Meron pa po, ma'am. Sorry. I cannot see it anymore pala. No, wala na. I can't see any more of the chat messages. Dali? Ma'am Dali, do we have questions pa po? Please help me po.
Sorry, hindi ko rin na-close na din ako eh. Hindi ko rin mabasa.
Ma'am Janice, may I?
Yes, Ma'am Nems. Thank you very much po.
I think ito is from... Nasagot na ba to yung kay Sir Michael na question kanina?
Mike,
Alin, ma'am? Yung runway condition 3?
Yung question, ma'am?
Hindi po. Yung 666 dry or pangalawang question to. yung knowing po yung recognize lang ng AIS is 666 dry, dry, dry. If we measured for, let's say, one runway third is 6, but with 25 coverage na standing water, di po yun mapapromulgate sa SNOWTAM. So that means po sa ATS lang po ito masisend and marerelay to pilots. So,
Correct po, correct.
Pangalawa to, sir, no? Sir Robin?
Parang yata. Please do understand na the SNOWTAM is only promulgated, nag-i-issue lang kayo ng SNOWTAM pag there's more than 3 millimeters water. Tapos po, pag improving na yung runway ninyo, syempre hindi na kayo makakapag-send ng IPAF kasi wala nang baha. The development of the runway condition, kung gusto niyo mag-reassess, na ibigay niyo po sa tower para na ibabato sa mga susunod na customer na piloto para alam nila yung bagong condition ng runway na wala nang baha, which is good. Now the question po, ma'am, if I may, yung kailan mag-i-issue ng standing water 3? So I would have to ask also the guidance of yung ANSO RC tungkol dito. Kasi po, yung runway condition 3 ay walang baha, sabi dito. Ang runway condition po kasi 3 is wet pa rin. Yun ang description on wet. Pero slippery wet. Ibig sabihin, madulas yung part ng runway na yon. Ngayon, as with the other, lagi tayo ng mga seminars po. Kaya po nagiging slippery wet yan is because of runway issues, runway pavement issues. Baka yung naging nawala na yung grooves or may rubber deposits. Now, the question now is, merong runway maintenance issues. The question is, will you issue a NOTAM pertaining to exercise caution dahil sa ganyan, dahil rubber deposits, slippery when wet? And additionally, ako may tanong, sigurado itatanong din to, paano ma-assess kung slippery wet yon? Do you have to do a friction test o palad lang ng kamay? So yun po ang tanong ko.
Grabe yung tanong mo, Sir Robin. Palad lang eh. Anyway.
Kasi wala tayong friction testers, di ba?
Yes, sir. Actually, di ba, na-mention mo rin to kanina na nagkaroon na ng degradation doon sa ating runway. So, pwede na siya makinis, na runway friction 3 siya, no?
Recording stopped.
Or pwede rin talagang yung presence ng rubber deposits. So, eto
Recording
po,
in progress.
makikita lang ito ng mga ating operators. If, or say, pwede lang nila ito masabi if they have this records na talagang nakikita nila sa reports nila or sa runway inspections nila that nakikita nila yung presence ng mga to, nakikita nila na nag-degrade na to, kailangan nila itong magkaroon ng, say, parang study, naka-database na ito yung mga kung kailan pa, and of course kasama dito yung mga reports ng pilots na nagsasabi although nagpa-5 sila sa ngayon, good to medium kunwari, or good na condition, and then yung pilots nila nagre-report na hindi yun yung na-experience namin. So, kailangan nila itong naka-database. And then once they have all this evidence na talagang sinasabi na ang ating runway is slippery when wet, then they need to promulgate a NOTAM saying na the runway is slippery when wet. And then the next assessment ninyo, may NOTAM na kayo na ganon, di ba, na runway is slippery when wet. Sa next na assessment ninyo, sa pag-a-assign nyo na, although it's just 5, or although the water is below or 3 or below, pero pwede nyo na siyang sabihin na 3 na agad yung a-assign nyo. Hindi na siya 5 because your records say or your evidence say na the runway is slippery. And of course, meron na siyang kasamang NOTAM na nandun na yon. Existing na yung NOTAM na yon. Or if this is new, magsasabi kayong 3, then you need to promulgate. Yung sinasabi kanina ni Ma'am Janice na pag meron kayong mga conditions sa runway na kailangan malaman ng mga operator na hindi yan may reflect sa RCR, then kailangan may kasama siyang NOTAM. So this is one of those cases na kailangan ninyong may NOTAM na kasama yung RCR ninyo pag may 3 kayo dyan. I'm not sure kung nakuha or naguluhan kayo lalo, but I hope nakapag-clarify. So you need records to sir. Kailangan nila mag-ipon ng mga inspection reports nila and as well as yung feedback ng pilots to say na talagang slippery when wet siya. Hindi natin siya pwede sabihin. Or siguro pag mayroon kayong magkakaroon ng friction test, hindi natin sa ibang airports available to. So if your friction test machine says na that part of the runway is slippery, then yun po, it can be used as a consideration doon sa pag-assign naman na hindi na siya 5 doon sa area na yon, it should be 3. I hope
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Nem. Salamat po. If I may add also, most common practice po kasi ng mga pilots when they report slippery is dun sa areas ng pag-touchdown nila mismo dun sa threshold, sa touchdown zone, dun madulas na nare-report nila. And more often than not, dun sa malapit na silang mag-exit yung sa area ng kung saan sila lumiliko pa-off ng runway, pa-exit ng runway. So, yun nga pa yung sinasabi ng ICAO na ang maganda, the airport operator should be very, very familiar with your own runway. Kung alam na po ninyo kung saan yung hotspot, saan yung madulas, yung mga ganun po. Thank you.
Yes po. I think may dagdag po dyan kay Sir Robin is that pag nag-report po yung pilot, you need to know kung which part yung nire-report niya. Kasi tama po yun, it might be yung touchdown area, hindi madulas, pero doon sa paliko, madulas. So, kailangan ino-note nyo po yan sa inyong record kung aling part yan ang sinasabi ng pilot. And also, yung type of aircraft din, kung anong type of aircraft yung nagre-report. Kasi from one aircraft to another, baka magkaiba po yung kanilang na-experience na braking action. So, kailangan din po yan nakalagay sa inyo. Just for your data na in case na may mga studies kayo, pag si 320, expect natin ito na ma-experience siya ng slippery runway. Yung mga ganon. So, document and the record keeping to para sa ating mga airports. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Thank you, Ma'am Nem.
With regards po yung sinabi mo po, ma'am, na kukuha kami ng we will put into record yung experience ng pilot. Kasi as we know that the pilot will only relay the communication between the pilot and the ATS. Kami mga originators, lalo ng mga firefighters, hindi namin alam. Di kaya kami pag-alita ng taga-ATS, nakukuha kami ng record nila? Or would it be possible for us to easily get the feedback from the pilot through ATS office?
Opo. Nagpapatraining po kami sa mga controllers and it is mandatory enough na nire-report sa inyo pag let's say may mga deviation sa assessment ninyo. Halimbawa, ang in-assess ninyo 5. Ibig sabihin nun, pag 5 kasi wet runway, ang kaakibat nun na pilotong report dapat good ang reported braking action. Ngayon po, kapag halimbawa maraming lumanding na eroplano tapos nagre-report yung piloto, sabi hindi naman good madulas dito sa pag-exit namin So ibig sabihin po pag madulas, stress dapat 'yon. So we have trained through our seminars yung mga controller na i-report sa inyo pag may deviation sa assessment nyo tsaka sa obserbasyon ng piloto. Ang ATS po ang may role at responsibility ng ganong sitwasyon, Sir Bonnie.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that, sir. We need to know that because para malaman din namin kung yung sinabi mo na may mga deviation sa mga na-relay namin na report, na wet lang yung na-relay namin, pala slippery wet na yun, yung sa on the part of the pilot. Kaya nga, kung okay lang po ba na hihingi kami ng kopya sa ABS kasi hindi naman sa ganun na meron kaming medyo we're hesitant to ask anything from ABS, maybe because of our position na medyo nasa baba lang kami, pagsabihan kami na you do your part and we'll do ours. Parang ganun ba na hindi kami parang yun lang, parang yung communication lang ang kailangan. And what we need, kung mayroon man kaming kailangan sa ito, sana malaman din nila na pwede kaming humingi sa kanila. Baka sabihin nila, pwede, ano lang kayo. Yun lang, sir.
Yes, sir. So, sir, my question is, what specifically would you require? Ano yung hinihingi niyo po sa tower kung sakali pagdating sa mga ganitong aspeto ng reports? Yung,
Ay,
yung
hindi lang po.
written?
I'm just basing yung kay Ma'am Nehemia kanina na sinabi na we will go into report kung ano yung feedback ng pilot. How can we know? Kasi wala kaming direct communication ng pilot. Yung pilot sa ATS lang po. O yun lang po. Sir, kung pwede ba kami na makahingi kami ng report kung ano yung feedback ng pilot right after our yung generated namin na RCR na relate to ATS.
Kasi opo, pag records kasi po ang hinihingi nyo halimbawa sa ATS, the record shall be hindi po masasabing record kasi po ang record na pwede ibigay sa inyo ng ATS is dapat naka-record yung usapan nila kasi hindi po na isusulat yun mostly talaga radyo lang. Kaya minsan po sa mga lag ng visor sa tower, hindi na nila sinusulat yan. Halimbawa lang may masipag siguro na visor, nilalag yung mga ganong report ng piloto. Pero siguro, as a condition, maganda na rin siguro yung nahihingi nyo yung lag ng visor kung may ganong report. Pero, sasabihin ko po sa inyo, ang lag ng visor, nakukumpleto na lang after the shift of the controllers, which is about day shift lang kayo, 6 to 6. Nako-close lang yung lag ng Surigao ng alas 6 ng hapon. Mostly ang records na hinihingi ninyo halimbawa is moot and academic kasi po radyo ang usapan ng piloto tsaka ATS. So probably you have to rely on the integrity of the controller's report na sinabi ng piloto yon. Or maybe kung meron po kayong radyo na VHF na 1181, you can monitor para marinig nyo po yung sinabi sana ng piloto. It all boils down to sa ganito po. Mostly these issues or challenges are internal, so per airport. Ang maganda po na pag-uusapan nyo sana to ng mga runway safety team ninyo kung may RST kayo para sama-sama po kayo natitrash itong problema and your requests can be attended to as well. Opo, naintindihan ko po Sir Bonnie. Thank you.
Yes sir, thank you sir. Para din sir na we will be aware kung mayroong mga deviation or discrepancy sa mga reporting namin. Na yun nga, as I said, na kung yung sinabi namin, wet lang yun, number 5 lang yun, yung runway CC, pero pala yung sa actual na performance or experience ng pilot, number 3 na yung CC, condition code. Kaya we just want to know that para at least aware din kami and we can correct our reporting.
Sige po, sige po. Surigao po is FSS, no?
Yes,
FSS
sir.
facility.
Yes, sir.
Sige
Yes,
po,
sir.
i-ano namin, i-reiterate namin. And additionally po, para may question dito yung sa tama ba if kung tama yung pagkaintindi ko kay Miss Jasmine Cantor, sabi po yung remarks po kasi sa IPAF pa na-send namin pag 3 po yung runway CC slippery wet daw po. Paki-clarify ano po ba talaga? Miss Jasmine, can you clarify po the question? Okay, i-interpret ko na lang po yung question niya. Kapag po may assessment kasi na tres, hindi po nasusnotam yun. Kasi po, again, as a reiteration, kaya po kayo nagsusnotam lang dahil may baha. Dahil may more than 3 millimeters. Ngayon po, pag may slippery wet na ganyan, hindi po kasi pumapasok yan sa SNOWTAM. More often than not, pag ganyan po, issue kayo ng NOTAM. NOTAM na may safety issue yung runway. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Excuse me, may tanong ako. This is Elizabeth Cubibong Antala.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Ay, follow up ko lang dun sa tanong ni Sir Anipasio. If that is the case, the first assessment is, for example, wet, and then, like Davao, meron naman silang 1181 ng ARFF namin. So, namomonitor nila. And then, pag pumasok yung report ng piloto na slippery wet siya, yung na-issue na RCR is wet lang, kailangan ba i-revise din siya ng ating mga inspector para
Okay po.
para magiging basis din siya nung NOTAM na i-request mo na ma-issue dahil slippery wet yung runway.
Okay po.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Una po, ito, i-ano ko po yung usually procedures na ginagawa. Yung runway condition assessment kasi, kinoconduct yan at least po once during each shift. So ano ba yung isang shift? Usually, isang shift ng controller ay 8 oras. Ang SNOWTAM po ay ang validity ay 8 oras din. It is a good practice for during every shift, day shift, na magkaroon ng isang runway condition assessment. On cases na nabanggit po kanina na pag yun nga umulan, kasi hindi niyo po alam kung nagbaha na. Or yun nga pa yung sinasabi, if any third of the runway is wet for more than 25%, kahit isang part lang ng runway is more than 25%, dapat nagra-runway condition assessment na. Tapos po, tapos ano pa, pag may adverse weather condition na nag-lead sa downgrading, lalong bumaha, ay lalong umulan ng malakas. So ang tanong po sa ARFF ganito, call po ninyo yon. It's your call. Anytime you want to assess your runway, kasi po runway nyo po yan. Ang safety po ng pasahero at ng mga piloto at ng customer po ninyo, yung paglapag nila sa runway ninyo. So you please take care of your customers. So pag ano pa, ang isang pwedeng mag-call kayo ng assessment nyo, buti yun, meron po kayong monitoring ng 1181 and yung visual inspection ninyo mismo, kayo mismo nag-assess na parang bahana. Kaya nga po yung tinatawag na know your runway very well. Kasi po ang ating assessment are more often than not ay visual muna. Kaya po sinabi na visual assessment po, runway condition, ina-assess nyo lang. And you confirm by making measurements only. Kaya pag may mga ano nga po sa ICAO yung nagpapakitang gilas yung halimbawa Hong Kong, meron na kaming nabili na sasakyan na nag-a-assess mismo automatic. Alam mo sinasabi ng ICAO, okay po yan. Pero actually, ang pinakapundasyon natin is by the naked eye. Visual assessment lang po on all parts of the runway. Tansyahan. So, ano pa po? If 2 consecutive pilot reports of runway braking action ay mali dun sa ginawang assessment ninyo, halimbawa sa Davao, Miss Elizabeth, you should trigger an assessment again. Kaya nga po naggawa rin kayo ng letter of agreement with Tower para dun sa coordination procedure na anytime pwede kayo pumasok subject to conditions kung paano kayo nagko-coordinate ng Davao Tower. So, ano pa ba? At the request of ATC as well. Yung po yung sinasabi ni Sir Bonnie kanina. Pag nag-request ang ATC na mag-reassess, ibig sabihin nun may nakabato sa kanilang report o reports na kakaiba. So, I hope that answers the question, Ma'am Elizabeth. If not, go ahead po with further follow-up question.
Okay, thank you po sir. Yun lang ang gusto kong ma-clarify. Kasi here sa amin naman, walang problema yung assessment. Either way, ARFF or the inspectors or the tower, pag mag-request, ready naman po ang ating mga inspectors.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So,
maganda yun, ma'am, kasi may radyo kayo na
yes,
monitor nyo.
Opo, dual
Oo.
kasi yung sa akin. Nasa tower kasi ako. And at the
Ayun.
same
Okay
time,
po.
sa safety. So, parang
Opo.
nakaka-relate tayo dun sa mga issues kanina. So, for us
Opo.
also to improve our procedures na until now, kahit may national implementation na tayo, continuous pa rin yung aming pag-i-improve. Yung mga problema
Mm.
na nasi-share ng
Opo.
ibang airport is very
Mm.
helpful talaga sa amin. Maraming salamat
Mm.
po.
Opo, at yung kung halimbawa, Ma'am Beth, yung inyong LOA nila si Ramir, Pangilinan, 'di ba, pirmado na 'yun eh. Kung meron kayo additional na coordination procedures na napagkasundan kasama ng mga firefighters, gawin niyo na lang addendum sa in addition sa LOA ninyo. Opo. Thank you, Ma'am
Yes,
Beth.
sir. Yes, sir. Kasi meron din kami na-observe kasi and we planned na magkakaroon again ng meeting kasi meron kami procedure na parang kulang yung nakasaad doon sa aming agreement.
Oo,
So,
generic po 'yun eh.
continuous pa rin yung ang aming improvement doon sa procedure. I hope matulungan nyo rin kami, mag-guide nyo rin kami
Opo.
together with the ANSO. Maraming salamat.
Actually, yan ganyan, Ma'am, and for the rest of everybody, anytime po, call ninyo yan kung gusto nyo mag-assess based dun sa experience niyo. Anytime pumasok kayo ng runway with coordination po syempre sa tower. So kaya nga po obligatory na magkaroon kayo ng letter of agreement with tower para nakakontrata kung ano yung legal na, ito, may usapan tayo, pwede kami pumasok, pero paano yung basis ng rules of engagement? Nakasaad po yun sa LOA. So yun po, anytime, kailangan po nilang assess for the safety. Kasi ako, kung halimbawa, pasahero ko, lalanding ng Davao, Boso lang, kinakabahan po ako syempre, nalalapag ng basa. So maganda po yung we have this safety assurance from the airport guys na with the assessment of the pilot na kahit basa na-assess ko base sa RCR, pwede ako lumapag. Kaya ng performance ng bigat na eroplano ko, hindi ako mag-overshoot. Yan yung mga ganun pong kaso. Thank you po.
Sir Robin. Alala.
Go ahead po.
This is Louis of Basco. Sa tower din ako, Sir Robin, pero as you know, di ba
Yes,
yung weather
ma'am.
namin dito, madaling mag-change. So, for instance, kagaya nung pumunta dito sila, Bambani, nasa final na sila nung biglang umulan. So, dun sa cases na yon, wala nang chance na mag-assess yung mga inspectors natin. For instance, nasa long final yung traffic and then biglang umulan. Pwede bang i-assume na lang ng ng
Ayan,
tower?
opo.
Pa,
Opo,
na
may mga
yung
ganitong
RCR
question.
namin based on dun sa namin sa observation natin is
Opo.
ganito 555-333 ganun sa. Pwede bang ganun?
May mga ganito po. May mga ganitong question yan. International yung kanyang question. Marami nagtanong. Kasi po, paano kapag walang naibigay, wag naman sana, no? Masipag naman ang ating mga airport operators and firefighter inspectors. Paano po pag halimbawa, pasok na yung runway condition report? Halimbawa lang, pasok na. Bumuhos lalo yung ulan. Halimbawa, ganon. Meron po kasi mga questions na halimbawa, nasa final yung piloto, nagtanong siya. Buhos ang ulan ha. Tapos, biglang sabi niya, request your runway condition report. Tinanong niya doon sa controller. Wala. Wala kayong maibigay kasi hindi nakapag-assess. Mostly, ang sinasabi po, based dun sa mga naririnig kong practice nung as shared by the Canadian controller, sabi, runway condition report not updated. Minsan sinasabi ganon, or runway condition report not available. Pero hindi po nagustuhan yun ni John Adams, yung Canadian na may utak ng paggawa ng GRF. Sabi niya, pag sa mga controller sa ganyan po, meron po tayong ATC phraseologies na ganito po, yung tower observes. Kasi po, visually, nakikita nyo naman, so you have to make your own assessment. Sabi, tower observes, runway is wet. Yung mga ganun po. Or, maganda, kung may naunang piloto, may naunang na pilotong lumanding, ang condition po, wala kayo RCR, tanungin niyo agad yung piloto. request your runway braking action. Pag yung naunang lumanding at sasabihin niya sa inyo yon. So may phraseology po halimbawa sa susunod yung customer, pag tinanong, runway condition report, not updated but Airbus 320 previously landed 1 hour ago or hopefully 30 minutes ago, reported runway braking action is good, or let's say runway braking action is good to medium and reported flood on the exit of the apron. Yung mga ganun po. Yung mga ganung diskarte. Hindi po pwedeng wala kayong maibigay. Kasi po, nakikita nyo rin naman yung runway. Pero ang maganda po kasi talaga nitong GRF, talagang nako-confirm nyo dahil may pumapasok sa loob ng mga firefighters na talagang sinusukat or ina-assess mabuti yung condition ng runway kung safe o hindi. Kasi po yung sa tower is limited only to visual assessment. So, does that answer your question, Ma'am Louie?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Kasi yan yung sinasabi ko kanina sa inspectors natin na meron tayong condition na ganyan. So, pwede ba na ako na lang magsabi na based on my observation, sabi ko sa kanila.
Oo, okay lang po pero wag sana lagi ganun.
Hindi naman, sir. Yung instance lang na talaga na nasa final.
Yung mga biglaan, hindi siya nakapasok
sir.
agad.
Kasi alam mo naman sa Mount Iraya namin, di ba? Mount Iraya namin, biglang umuulan dyan eh. So, yun, ganun lang instances, hindi palagi.
Ano na po ngayon? Wala na yung damp yung mamasa-masa lang. Wala nang gano'n, runway damp. Ano na po yan? It's either wet, dry, or standing water. Tatlo na lang yan, ma'am. Hindi nyo pwede po. Hindi nyo naman pwede sabihin na baha dito. Talaga? Paano mo nalaman? So, yung mga gano'n. Nakita ko, tumatalsik-talsik yung gulong. Yung mga gano'n. So, the firefighters should be the one to confirm this.
Kasi meron din pala kaming yung sa AIS naman, merong response sa amin kahapon kasi yung 3mm hindi na isusulat dun sa depth ng water. Instead, lagyan na lang ng NR. Kasi nag-practice kami and then yung nilagay namin is 532 pero nilagyan namin ng depth na 3mm 3 o 2mm. So, ang ilalagay na lang hindi na 3, instead NR na lang ilalagay namin dun sa
NR yun, ma'am. Opo, NR. Ibig sabihin walang baha.
Okay.
Masyado nang manipis talaga yung 3M.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you po. Thank you, Sir Robin. Si Ma'am Jasmine Cantor, meron po kayong, itong inaano niyo na, ma'am? Kay Ma'am Nems? Ma'am Nems? Ito yung remarks ko I think this was answered by Sir Robin, tama ba? Sir Jasmine, Ma'am Jasmine?
Yes po, opo.
Opo. Okay. Thank you, sir.
And Ma'am Janice, I think may specific na question to si Ma'am Janice. Jasmine. Kasi halos apat na tawag din conversation box. Hindi ko lang sure. May specific siyang tinatanong regarding slippery wet. Ano ba to? Na 3 yung runner slippery wet daw po, pa-clarify. Hindi ko masyadong maintindihan yung question, ano?
Okay. Ayun. Actually, I'm asking din si Ma'am Jasmine to tell me when para ma-retrieve ko sana yung kanilang IPAF for us to better understand yung and yung to check din yung email kung ano nga yung reply.
Pwede ba natin, Ma'am Jasmine, can you further expound on the question?
Hello po, Ma'am Nems.
Yes po, good morning.
Yes, ma'am. Hindi kasi ganito po. Kanina po nabanggit nyo dun sa runway condition na 3, hindi siya pwedeng maging slippery wet kasi wala naman tayong panukat or basis paano manasabi na slippery wet siya. Since kami po dito sa Basco kasi ang runway namin is sloping, wala naman po talaga kaming standing water pero sinuggest po sa amin ni area focal na mag-send kami ng test na IPAF po. So nag-test po kami kahanina, tapos ang nilagay po namin is 332,
ang ang coverage niya po is 100, 150, and yung ano niya po, yung isa pa is yung bali nilagyan na lang po namin ng yung depth niya is 3 tapos 4. Ang sabi mo po kasi kanina, if I'm not mistaken po, ang sabi po kanina is pag 3 hindi siya pwedeng ilagay na slippery wet. Pero nilagyan po kasi namin doon sa iPath namin na sinend, nilagyan namin ng wet lang. Pero kinurek po kami ng AIS, sabi niya, pag 3 yon, kailangan slippery wet yung ilalagay namin. Kaya medyo na-confuse po ako kanina dun sa nabanggit nga po na kapag ka 3 is slippery wet. Yun lang po, pa-clarify lang po kung alin po ba talaga doon, slippery wet siya or wet lang po.
Ay, okay. Yes, ma'am. Sige. Baka napaghalo yung 3 na depth. So, pwede siyang, or yung 3 na slippery wet, ano. So, ganito, bago ka makapagsabi na yung runway is slippery wet, kailangan may basis ito. So, initially, kung wala talaga kayong records, wala kayong evidence, walang nagsasabi na yung runway is slippery wet or slippery when wet, or wala kayong nakikitang madaming rubber deposits, hindi mo siya pwedeng lagyan agad ng 3 dyan na initial pa lang ninyo na assessment. So if your runway is wet, initial na assignment ng runway CC is 5. But in cases na meron na kayong naipong mga evidence, may naipon na kayong mga feedback from the pilots na nagsasabi na that area, when wet is slippery, dyan pa lang po kayo maglalagay na mag-a-assign na sa portion na yun ng runway na 3 na yon. Baka yun. Yung contaminant is slippery wet. Pero may kasama palagi itong NOTAM.
Nasa email to, padala mo daw sa akin.
Oo, may
Viber.
NOTAM na pag meron kayong doon na ilagay na 3 slippery wet, expect mo rin na may kasama tong NOTAM na nagsasabi that the runway is slippery when wet. Pero bago nyo kailangan muna may mga records kayo. May mga nakuha kayong mga evidence, may nakuha kayong mga reports from the inspection na nagsasabi that na nagtuturo na when this part of the runway is wet, it will be slippery. Yun po yun. And pagdating naman sa isa pang hindi pwede yung 3, baka ito yung pag 3 lang yung depth, hindi mo pwede siyang i-reflect doon sa RCR. Dapat na reported siya.
Yes po. Thank you po, Ma'am Nems. Cleared na po.
Okay. Salamat.
Thank you po.
Okay.
Ma'am pag tres, sorry pag tres, doon sa RCR, wet pa rin ang nakasulat lang dapat doon, di slippery wet.
Yes, Ma'am Jasmine. Ay, yun po.
Unless na talagang meron silang evidence na this is wet, this is slippery when wet.
Yes. Ma'am Jasmine, na ano ko na po. We just retrieve yung na-send nyo kanina. Yun po. Slippery wet po kasi yung nasa contaminant. So, wala po tayong slippery wet. And also at the same time, since 3 yung assessed depth, we do not indicate the 3 but we indicate NR. Yun po. Hello? Ma'am Jasmine, is this clear?
Yes po, ma'am. Clear na po. Thank you so much po.
Thank you.
Opo, just to follow up, point of clarification po. Pag 5, wet. Pag 3, wet pa rin po isusulat sa RCR, pero to the knowledgeable person, which is lahat naman tayo, pag nakita nyo 3, slippery wet pa rin. Alam nyong madulas na po yun. Pero nakasulat lang sa RCR, wet pa rin. Opo.
Sir Robin, just sa konting meron talaga siyang runway surface na description na slippery wet, and then meron pa siya dun sa situational awareness section na slippery wet, and then meron pang NOTAM na dapat that the runway is slippery when wet. Ganun siya ka-extensive yung gusto nilang ipaalam sa lahat pag slippery when wet.
Doon sa sa description nilalagay, pero hindi mismo doon sa RCR lines. Thank you.
Sir Robert.
Go ahead, sir. Sir Bonnie,
Yes,
ikaw
sir.
ba yan?
Sir Buwan, Surigao Airport, sir. Yes, sir. Kasi we're going to implement this GRF methodology starting November 4. So, is it necessary for us to prepare a weekly or monthly report for this methodology so that we can have a report just in case for whatever requirements it may have in the future? Na meron tayong may papakita na ito ganitong buwan, sorry na, wala kaming report kasi always try or yun. Meron ba tayo, sir? Para at least ma-aware
Yes, sir.
kami and we will be ready for that.
Yes, I would suggest, kasi po, I do receive reports already from control towers under our office sa division namin. Reports from different airports na lalag kasi yung mga control towers, yung mga visor ng activities kung ilan na yung nag-conduct na runway condition assessment, tapos yung feedback, ilang minuto kayo sa loob. I do recommend, sir, mag-parallel din kayo din halimbawa do your feedback report din kasi po baka humingi halimbawa yung area manager ninyo kung ano yung development, meron kayong activity report po. Yun ang sa akin, Sir Bon. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for the guidance.
Hello po. May dadagdag lang ako doon sa sinabi ni Sir Robin. Sir Bonifacio. Sir, actually, I highly recommend sa lahat po na gumagawa ng mga runway inspection na mag-develop po sila ng logbook. Tapos doon nila isusulat ng result ng kanilang RCRs and as well as kung may mga comments doon. Para sa isang pasada lang, isang document, makikita mo na yung RCR, yung comment, or say may mga issues kayo doon. Although we are about to implement na, no? Magkakaroon na tayo ng actual implementation by November 4, but it will be still a good practice for each aerodrome operator. Say, ang usually gumagawa nito is the firefighters. So maganda pong meron kayong logbook noon. At dito nyo rin po makikita na pag nagkakaroon na ng improvement or not improving na condition. Isang pasada lang. Para po sa lahat ng airports, mag-develop tayo ng logbook, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we're already guided by our area manager, area center focal, GRF focal person about the logbook and also the reporting. What I'm trying to say is that is it necessary for us to make a monthly report or weekly report then submit it to the concerned agency who will evaluate or in charge or task to evaluate all the reports? Wala na ba? Sa amin lang po ba? Sa amin lang na report or do we need to submit it to the head office or to when we are going to submit it for evaluation or for whatever requirements or necessary for us to submit the report to the head office or to any agency?
Yan, depende po yan, sir, sa ninyo, sa management, kung magre-request sila na magsasubmit kayo ng monthly or not. Pero definitely, sir, sa mga audit natin sa ANSO, baka titingnan yan, and of course, baka hihingi ng mga evidences yung ating PWG about your say, milestones pagdating naman sa mga GRF implementation. And ang logbook din po magagamit niyo. Pwede niyo ma-extract diyan kung yung parang summary ng mga inconsistent na RCR and pilot's feedback. And from there, pwede ninyo siyang masabi, makapag-conclude kayo na from this information that we have gathered, this says or it depicts or demonstrate na yung runway po namin is slippery when wet or other things na mga pwede ninyo ma-extract na mga info. So, yun po, sir.
Ma'am Nems?
Yes.
Beth.
Ma'am Beth.
Yes, good morning again. I would just like to share dito sa Davao, no? FBIA Safety Office is closely monitoring itong GRF kasi unang-una, bago siya, no? So ngayon, we require na mabigyan din ang safety office ng mga records yung kanilang mga evaluation assessment, lahat yung RCI, mga ganon. Both sa ARFF, yung mga runway inspectors natin, and of course from the Davao Control Tower. That's our way of monitoring and assessing kung ano pa ba ang kailangan ng ating mga inspectors with regards to JRF. Yun, from October 2 yung ating simulation up to now, so nakita namin doon, may problema. Unang-una, through these records yung mga reports, itong lahat para ma-share ko rin kay Sir Bonnie, nagamit namin ngayon sa aming recommendation to the management. Kasi through FBIA Safety Office, nag-recommend kami na magkaroon ng isang sasakyan ang ating mga inspectors na naka-detail sa kanilang station. Bakit? Kasi based on the simulation until now, nakita namin na factor yung time ng pagkuha ng sasakyan from the admin office up to sa station ng ating ARFF. And that is 10 minutes. Very crucial sa ating mga eroplano. Ilang ikot dyan kung nag-hold ang eroplano? 3 ikot. Sobra, tatlong ikot yan. So, crucial ang time. So, those are things na naging maganda doon sa pag-furnish ng mga reports din sa FBI Safety Office. Nagkaroon kami na ngayon ng mga recommendations na ganyan. So, yun for now, ang mai-share ko lang sa inyo na parang magandang nangyari dito sa amin sa Davao. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Maganda yung na-share mo, ma'am. Actually, we really appreciate that para naman makakuha ng tawag dito, additional knowledge or say mga best practices na pwedeng i-apply sa mga airports. Maganda po. Actually, dati pa nag-request na kami ng mga updates. Hindi lang siya ganun kalinaw na yun talagang hinihingi. But at least, I mean, from those updates, talagang nagamit niyo siya for the identification ng mga dapat niyo pang i-improve as well as ano siya parang supporting documents sa pag-request naman ng mga additional na mga resources para sa inyong airport. I hope ang ating mga airports naka-learn something, nakakuha ng mga magagandang practices from our other airports. Yes, Sir Bonnie?
Yes, ma'am. Yung sinabi ko kanina, yung suggestion ko na gumawa tayo ng report. Because yun, sabi nga ni Ma'am Elizabeth na para ma-monitor, ma-evaluate yung mga problema or dapat. What else are we going to improve our service using this GRF, yung methodology? Kasi yung sa report kasi, sa tingin ko lang, dapat kailangan natin na it includes yung time natin pag-coordinate sa ADS before we proceed to the runway for the runway assessment. Then yung time na we prepare the time na we relate the RCR to the ADS, and so in the IPAF, if there is an IPAF, what the time we transmit it to AIS and the time they acknowledge us about the report. That should be the facts to be stated in the report, and that's, I think, is a very significant matter to be considered for evaluation and to check the service or the activity for the whole month. If okay ba yung relay natin kung we meet the minimum or the 30 minutes time from assessment all the way to transmission of the AIS and to ATS. Yun lang po para at least may determination or evaluation kung ilang minuto yung process ng GRF from assessment all the way to transmission and reporting to ATS. That's all lang po, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for that. Thank you din, Ma'am Beth. So, yan po. Ma'am Janice?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. For thank you. Yung consideration ni Sir Bonifacio na raise niya na po. um,
Janice, yung
yes,
question doon regarding sa IPAF, nasagot na ba yan?
saan ay meron pa? Saan? Tungkol saan? Sorry, can you please read
Wait
else?
lang,
Kasi
basahin ko.
what
Wait
I
lang.
have are ano na yung bagong pasok na lang ako. Hindi ko na makita yung iba.
Sabi dito from Sir Jason Hontilla, Good AM, kailangan pa ba mag-attach ng IPA form kung magko-close ang SNOWTAM report kung halimbawa nag-improve ng runway surface condition o hindi na?
Okay. Sir Jason, would you want to answer else?
Okay. So lahat po ng mga sinisend na mga request for EIS na publication is kailangan po siya ng IPAF. So, to answer yung question, yes po, kailangan po ng IPAF. At the same time, i-attach po sa case ng SNOWTAM, i-attach po natin yung ARCAO po. That's dyan.
Okay. Sir Jason, I hope nasagot po yung kanilang question. Then we have...
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. We have here a suggestion from Sir Menem. Mga sirs, ma'am, pwedeng isali po ang mga ATS and ANS dito sa RPUS sana pag may ganitong meeting. Now, if I may, ATS is present, Sir Robin is here. I believe he's the best person to answer lahat naman ng mga queries natin regarding sa ATS or taga ATS dyan sa RPUS. Okay. Yun po.
Alin ma'am, is sa San Fernando?
Yes po, sir. Yung tanong ni Sir Menem, sir. Kung pwede
Sir,
daw po next time.
meeting regarding saan po? Specifically, ano yung itatackle na usapan?
Yung ganitong meeting. To note po, this meeting was suggested to review us, our data originator, how to fill up the IPAF and tsaka yung attachment nung ARCAO natin. So, this was intentional for our intention nito is really to review. So, siguro yun, pag may ganitong meeting po, so, at saka, ano din po to, medyo mabilisan, yung short, as you have noticed, yun, short notice po siya. So, para lang talaga ito i-review dun sa, kasi yun yung isa po namin na, we have received na, parang not really complaint or challenging challenges na nahirapan daw po mag-fill up ng IPAF, kung ano ilalagay sa IPAF. So, we, with the permission of our CWG chairman, this meeting was held. So, yun po. So, pero siguro, for the mga meeting na ganito, definitely po, with the enough planning po, whoever will be hosting or whoever will be conducting, of course, they would have this in mind. Yun po. Si Sir Junri, Miller, pwede po bang masummarize yung lahat ng questions dito sa chat box and answers tapos ma-share sa lahat ng mga participants to their common understanding? Yes, sir, we'll be preparing a sort of a minute, but that minute will be in a form of a question and answer para tapos i-disseminate natin sa those who are present dito po. Okay? So far, wala na akong question sa chat box. Ma'am Marlene, yun. Yes. Good morning, Ma'am Marlene. Hindi po si Ma'am Marlene po. Nag-join po si Ma'am Marlene. So, yun po. Any other question po? May mga questions po tayo? And hopefully, we're able to review you and answer some of yung mga issues and challenges that you're na-encounter natin during the trial, the 1-month trial. So, the trial's not yet over. So, meron pa tayo hanggang November 3. And then on November 4, it's the actual one. So, I understand because there are times that we have received yung parang, yes, test yung mga napapadala sa amin. Pero, yun, kailangan lang talaga namin na i-correct siya agad para hindi na natin siya ma-encounter in the future once na yung yung implementation na talaga which is starting on November 4. So thank you for everybody who submitted, who joined the trial. And yun, if meron pa din pong question, so yun, feel free to ask and feel free to call din po sa AIS. Yun po. Also, another thing, yung mga data originators natin not listed, so I hope that list is being ina-update naman po namin based dun sa binibigay sa amin ng PWG, ng GRF. So, yun lang po kami mag-base because yun po yung aming parameter. Kasi remember, we don't need you to get na the concurrence and the approving authority. But you bilang the data originator was approved by your area manager. May kumbaga merong kayong order to be the data originator. So, and your signature also is important because we have received IPAF that has no signature. So, I understand trial to, baka nakalimutan, ganun. Pero during the actual, we will not be able to publish that without your signature. So, yun po. Yun, any other question? Any words from Sir Robin, Ma'am Nems? If Ma'am, I believe Ma'am Marlene.
Wala na ako, Ma'am Janice. Good luck po to every stakeholder. I do hope safety is always our top priority.
Yes. Thank you, Sir Robin. Ma'am Nems?
Yes po. So, i-reiterate ko lang po para sa ating mga nag-generate ng RCR, nagre-request ng IPAP. So, ano lang, sir, siguro konti pang practice and konti pang, say, yung pag-fill up, make sure lang na consistent siya from the RCAL to the RCR to the IPAP para mabawasan naman po natin yung load ng AIS. And yun lang po, yung mga sinabi kanina, try to remember, disseminate po natin sa ating mga inspector para naman malaman din nila kung ano yung mga naging issue din ng AIS. Yan lang po. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Nems. So that's it also para sa amin. Maraming salamat po for your attention.
Janice.
Yes, Ma'am. Yes, Ma'am Marlene. Please go ahead po.
Good morning,
Ma'am
everyone.
Marlene. Yes, go ahead po. Ayun, nahanap po
Good
kayo
morning,
dito.
everyone.
Thank you.
Since this NOTAM is new to all of us, may I ask everyone, please prepare as some sort of a cue card wherein you can refer to it ever so often until you finally have the feel and the flow, the smooth flow of doing this, implementing this from step 1 until its promulgation. Lahat po naman tayo ay nag-uumpisa and eventually mamamaster din po natin. Salamat po sa lahat ng stakeholders who always take time to participate in activities like this. Thank you po and God bless all of us.
And thank you, Ma'am Marlene. So thank you, everyone. Yun, we're all in this together, so let's help one another na lang din po. You may call us na lang anytime din po. Maraming salamat po. Yun, sakto tayo.
Thank
Almost
you.
11.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you po.
Thank you po. Maraming salamat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Salamat po. Diyos
Thank
mabalos.
you, Ma'am Christina.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Bonifacio.